things that we find out is that when that time comes, we want to make sure that we are independent women. We can stand on our own 2 feet, right? And we don't have to look back in the rearview mirror and say, what happened all those years, right? Okay, so we start out just by showing you actually how money works. Have any of you all ever heard of what we call the rule of 72? The rule of 72 is actually a compounded formula that was invented by the Census Bureau to show you how long it takes the population to double. Your financial institutions, such as your banks, use it to show you how long it takes your money to double. It's one of the best kept secrets in the financial industry. Because what they're doing is taking your money and investing in long-term security. They're paying you a 0.5%, if anything, right? And they're making 45 to 50% rate of return off of your hard-earned dollars, right? So for illustration purposes, let me ask you, where do most people put their money? You're right, most people do put their money in the bank. And they invest in CDs, certificates of deposits. I consider this certificates of disappointment. They invest in money markets or the savings account. And right now, you know, none of these vehicles are paying high amounts of interest, right? I'm going to be generous today for illustration purposes only and give you a 2% interest rate. If you divide 2% into 72, what that means is going to take you about 36 years for your money to double. That's a long time, right? I don't have 36 years to wait. So if your average person is at the age of 40 and they put away $1,000 one time, 36 years later they're going to be 76, they're going to have a whopping $2,000 in the bank. And if most people knew that, they wouldn't keep very large sums of money in the bank. Wouldn't you agree with that? Yes. If you were to take and put your money into what we call a tax-deferred annuity, let's say earning 12% rate of return, you divide that by 72, now your money will double every 6 years. So what that means, your same person that's at the age of 40, they put away $1,000 one time. Even if they never added another penny to it, when they turn 46, they're going to have $2,000. When they reach 52, $4,000, age 58, $8,000, age 64, $16,000, age 70, 32, same age 76, they're going to have $64,000 compared to this person over here. The question is, where would you rather have your money, on this side of the house or that side of the house? A lot of people don't know what tax-deferred annuities are, but tax-deferred annuities are your retirement plan. So for people who work in private industry, their plan is simply called the 401k. Anybody who works for nonprofit organizations, the hospital, or the school system, your plan is simply called the 403b. Anybody who works for the state and local law enforcement or our firefighters on the state and local side, their plan is called the 457 deferred comp. You've heard of an IRA. There's also a Roth IRA. People that are self-employed have what we call the self-employed pension. Individuals in the federal government have what we call the TSP, and everything else is considered non-qualified money. All of these plans here, with the exception of this Roth, is what we consider qualified money. You heard Barbara talk about that earlier. And what that really means is that all of your money is really growing pre-tax. You get paid, a percentage of your paycheck going to your millionaire bucket on the job, right? Well, that money's tax deferred. You don't pay taxes on that money until you get ready to retire 30 years from now. When you start receiving the retirement income is when Uncle Sam is going to tax you on it, right? This is considered pre-tax. Any money that's in the Roth and non-qualified money is what we consider after-tax money. Money that you've already paid taxes on that you reposition from your bank account over to your non-qualified account. And the reason being is you don't want to mix qualified money and non-qualified money together. It's called commingling. because you're going to be penalized and pay taxes on it again. So you don't want to mix apples and oranges, right?
Right.
How many people have a 401k that's with a previous employer that's just sitting there? Okay? Keep in mind that 401k or 403b, the plan administrator of that previous employer still own and control your retirement plan. So when it's in the market and the market goes up, you go up. When the market goes down, you lose. So one of the things we encourage you to do is to consider getting it out of there, because it's money that you've already earned. You don't want to play with hard-earned dollars that you've struggled with for the last 15 years just for the markets to crash, right? And back in February, 2 weeks in a row, the markets took over 1,000 basis nosedive back to back. And then an alternate week right behind that, it took another. Okay, so if you had your money sitting in a previous employer that you're not contributing to, guess what? Your money took a nosedive. On your survey, there's a line item that says investments and annuities. Check the box. Whoever invited you will talk to you about showing you alternatives in terms of what you can do to get your money out of there and protect it. That's money that you've earned. Anytime you have money sitting in the bank, your money is not what we call credit approved. So in the event you ever get sued, bankruptcy, lien, judgment, or garnishment, they can take every penny that you have over here. And we all know everybody in the D.C. metropolitan area is out to sue everybody, right? I mean, go to the grocery store, somebody's looking for a whoop, right? Somebody tap you in the back, or you tap somebody in the back, whoop, all of a sudden next week you see it with a neck bracelet and some more stuff, right? If you don't have what we call long-term care insurance, and you rely on Medicaid, Medicare, the state in which you live, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, will make you liquidate all of your assets down to $2,500. They have what they call a 5-year look-back period. It used to be 3 years. But because financial advisors like ourselves are educating you in terms of how to protect the asset, they amended that rule that you can no longer reposition your assets from over here to over here 5 years before you get sick. So if nobody knows when you're going to get sick. So the best time to protect it is while you're still young and in good health. How many people own their own home? Congratulations. One of the things to keep in mind is making sure that you have that asset protected. We have a fantastic estate planning attorney that's going to come up and talk to you about how to protect your assets. Okay? And what you need to consider is, possibly putting somebody else's name on the deed of your property. Okay? That's only to protect it. Okay? In the event you get sick or to a nursing home, they can't come and take the property. Okay? And they do that by way of what we call a quit claim deed. Okay? Social Security. Social Security was never designed as a retirement system, only as a supplement to what you should be doing with your 401k and or other investments, right? As a matter of fact, they're telling you that Social Security is destined to go away in 2032. So for all of you all who receive Social Security statements, and what you do is open that book up to see how much money you're going to get, right? Don't open it, keep it closed, and look on the front page. It's going to tell you it's destined to go away in 2032 because we don't have enough baby boomers supporting the Social Security system. So Social Security did a study of every 100 people at the age of 65. And what that study showed was that 56% of this population, time they get to age 65, actually rely on their family, their friends, or some type of government assistance. 11% of this population, time they get to age 65, still work. Not because they want to, but because they have to. 25% of this population, time they get to age 65, is actually dead. So what does that really tell you? 92% of this population, time they get to age 65, is either dead or dead broke. And it's not because they plan to fail. They fail to plan while they're actually young and in good health. The first rule of thumb with money is always pay yourself first, right? You heard Barbara talk about that, right? What's the second rule of thumb with money? Always pay yourself first. Pay attention to rule number 1. Always pay yourself first, okay? And if you were 65 years old today, today's your 65th birthday, which one of these categories would you fall into? And don't tell me the 25%. Would you still have to be working? So when you see a lot of our seniors that have retired from one job and they're working a second job, Walmart, McDonald's, KFC, they're working because they have to work, not because they really want to. And that's not the position, financial position that you want to be in. It's never too late, ladies, to get started. Okay? Knowledge is power. Taking action actually saves lives. Okay? You're here today for a reason because somebody encouraged you to be here, or you took the initiative to go online and see what women events are coming up today. Right? So you want to make sure that you take advantage of this opportunity. Get a free checkup. Everything in life is pretty much free. It's up to you to make the right decision. I saw quite a few hands who raised their hands saying that they own their own home. So there's something out there that's called, I don't have my glasses. Something out there that she tells you to get off the stage. Something else out there that's called mortgage protection. Okay? And mortgage protection is the most important program that you can actually place over your home. What it's designed to do is protect you in the event of unexpected tragedy or death. Okay? So we're going to assume that, let's say your balance is $150,000. And you have your insurance company, mortgage company say, pay me $100 a month for this. Most people have what we call a 30-year term. That's really what we consider a decreasing term, okay? Because every time you make the payment, this balance decreases, right? So let's say nothing happens to you until year 25. Your balance may only be about $25,000. In the event of death, this is what your mortgage company is going to pay off, and you get absolutely nothing in your hand. We don't recommend a traditional type of mortgage protection because, number one, in the event of death, you actually lose your tax write-off. Second reason we don't recommend this protection plan is because this money doesn't come right back down to the beneficiaries, right? The mortgage company is your beneficiary. So you actually lose your earning power. The third reason we don't recommend it is because if you're paying $100 a month based off of a balance of a house of $150,000 and you pass away, don't you want your beneficiaries to get a check for $150 and not $25? You pay the same $100 a month, whether it's based off of $150, whether it's based off of $75, or whether it's based off of $25. This $100 a month should be decreasing to correspond with this dollar amount, but it doesn't. Okay? There's a new type of mortgage protection out there. You'll see it listed on your form. But it's called the new plan. And let's say your balance is $150,000. Now, in the event of death, this money goes directly to your beneficiary. Beneficiary has several different options. A financial advisor like myself is going to tell you not to pay the house off. Take this $150 and invest in some type of investment. And if you happen to get a 10% rate of return, that comes out to about $15,000 a year. If you divide that by 12, you get another $1,250 a month that you can use to pay your mortgage. So now what that does is give you options. The worst thing in the world is for somebody to pass away and you're forced to get out of the house because you don't have enough liquid assets to continue to pay the mortgage, or they didn't leave you with some type of mortgage protection or death benefit so that you can make decisions. With a protection plan like this, it gives you options that it will allow you to stay in your home while you decide if you want to sell the house, rent the house out, while you're going through estate planning, tasks, and things of that nature. Okay? It also comes with a terminal illness. So if a person is diagnosed with a terminal illness where they're not expected to live beyond 12 or 24 months, the company will give you up to 88 or 92% of this $150,000 up front. It's also transferable. So let's say you decide you want to refinance the house or sell the house. The plan goes with you to the new refinance. You don't have to worry about taking out a new plan. You can also have what we call a child benefit rider. And what that does is protect your kids and or grandkids all the way up to age 23. I can tell you the worst death is the death of a child. Not the death of a parent, not the death of a spouse, because one thing, we expect to bury our spouses and we expect to bury a parent. We do not expect to bury our kids. It's not likely that you're going to get up and go back to work in 2 weeks, a week, or anything like that after death, right? You can also have your critical illness added. You can also have disability added. But the best feature of all, if you don't die and you outlive this plan, the company gives your money back, and it's called a return of premium. Everything you put into it, you absolutely get your money back. It's like having free protection while you own your home and a nice savings account at the end. Let me ask you, how many people have been confused about how life insurance works? A lot, right? You hear what the difference between term and permanent and whole life and all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. I'm going to explain it to you very simply. There's 4 different types. The first one is what we call whole life. And these are permanent policies that are designed to last you for the rest of your life. How many people have the new type of life insurance? Anybody? What's your name? You have the new type of life insurance? Felicia, she put you on the spot. Okay, so we're going to assume that this client is at the age of 50, and she did a $100,000 death benefit, and the insurance company said, pay me $100 a month for this. Well, whole life policies are permanent policies. They're designed to last you for the rest of your life, so they're going to carry you all the way to age 100, okay? And this is the type of policy we call penny policies that the little insurance lady or man came out and used to knock on the door, and our parents used to pay for a $5,000 policy, right? Well, over a period of time, this policy also built up cash value, right? So in 25 years, you'll be 75 years old, you'll have about $30,000 worth of what we call cash value, and if you passed away, who would you want to get your death benefit? Her children. And if you pass away, who do you want to get your cash? Your children? Under a whole life policy, to pay attention to this lady, you agree that this $30,000 go back to the insurance company. That $30,000 make up the 100. They're one and the same. The closer you get to age 100, this cash value will become 100 and this will be 0. Have you heard of our parents and grandparents, borrowing money from their life insurance policies, or maybe you all have done it, right? Well, you have to pay that back. And the interest rate typically is about an 8% interest rate. They come out to about $2,400 a year. You divide that by 12, they come out to $200 a month that you have to pay back. So if you passed away and you borrowed your $30,000, because the 30 make up the 100, they're one and the same, your family's going to get a check for $70,000. If you never paid back this interest, they subtract that out too. And then your family's going to get a check for $67,600. And if most people knew that, they wouldn't have whole life policies. And you're paying $300 a month for that. Okay? So people didn't like that. They came out with what we call term. Term means temporary. It's just like renting a house. And it's your least expensive insurance. So you have the same person that's at the age 50, and they do a $100,000 death benefit. The max number of years they can get here is 20 years because of the age. That's going to take them to age 70. What happens here is this policy ends, and they have no more coverage. Term is cheaper than whole life. So if you pay $100 a month for this, you're only going to pay $50 a month for this. Have you ever heard of the terminology buy term, invest the difference? Okay, this is what this policy does. They encourage you to buy a cheap term for $50, but you should be taking the other $50 and putting it into some type of investment so that when this policy expires and you don't have any more coverage, at least you have some type of savings, right? But if not, when you're 70, you're going to have to renew it. And it won't be $50 here, it may be about $1,500 a month. This is what's killing our senior market. Because they're retired, they're on fixed income, and somebody sold them a policy like this and didn't help them invest in difference or didn't explain to them what's going to happen to their policy. All they said is you can renew it all the way up to age 95. How many of you all have heard of that? Okay? So people didn't like that. Then they came out with what we call the new term. New term was designed to replace the old term. You had the same person that's at the age of 50, and they do a $100,000 death benefit. 20 years later, they're going to be 70. This policy ends, but the company gives you all your money back, called a return of premium. It may cost a little bit more than this, so if you're paying $50 a month for this, you may pay $75 a month for this. But at the end of the day, if you don't need any more insurance because the kids are out of college, the house is paid for, they'll give you back every penny that you put into this policy. And some companies give it back to you with interest. So people like new term better than the old term, and then they came out with what we call universal. Universal was designed to replace the whole life. So you have the same person who's at the age of 50, and they do a $100,000 death benefit, and the insurance company say, pay me $100 a month for this. Universal Life also bills cash. And you're going to hear a little later what you can do with that cash, because it's all tax-free. So when you look to see how people build wealth, they're doing universal life policy. Because the interest rate on this is tax-free. You never get a 1099 for it. So in about 25 years, you will have about $30,000 worth of cash that you could pull out of this policy to help send your kids to college, to pay your house off. Do with that money anything you need to do with emergencies, and you never have to pay it back. If you pass away, the family get a check for $130,000. They get both. It's almost like you going to Bank of America saying, hey, give me my $30,000 out of my checking and savings account. They're going to say, Deborah, here's your $30,000. Thanks for being a great customer. See you next month. Up here, you're saying, I need to borrow. And they're going to make you sign a promissory note because you will pay this back. So people like universal, better than whole life, new term, better than the old term. She just saved Felicia.
Is there an age limit for universal?
No, maximum age on any life insurance policy is age 5. Okay? On your survey, there's a box that says, mortgage protection that we talked about. It says life insurance. We talked about life insurance. You don't have to die to use. There are products out there, ladies, that you don't have to die to get the money. How many people do you know had a heart attack, stroke, or cancer, but they didn't die? Came down with ALS, Buerger's disease. What happened to them? They may not could have worked and have income, but if you have that kind of life insurance, you don't have to die to use. It comes in the whole life term, new term, or universal. If you're going to pay for insurance, and you should always make sure you have insurance outside of the job. Anything on the job is icing on the cake, because if you have to leave the job or lose the job, those benefits are done. Okay? I'm Debbie Short. That concludes my presentation.